Hello and welcome to Blog of the Next Football Podcast, the World Cup edition. We preview the World Cup final. We're going to look at Argentina v Spain. We're going to have a little bit of England chat. Of course, England have got another game against France to come. And I'll look at my top 5 kits of the tournament. Okay, let's start with England. They are, of course, the next game. Another match against France. I know you're all looking forward to it. Saturday night, 10 p.m. kickoff. Another nice commitment. A weird one. They're calling it the bronze medal match. I think I possibly prefer that name than third place playoff. I've seen a lot of discourse as well that this is just a match. Still hugely priced. But this is a World Cup tradition. This has been going since the first ever edition in 1930. So I don't think we can quite say that about FIFA. There's about 7,000 tickets still unsold. On general sale, the cheapest is £657. You can get one on resale for £346, of course. FIFA need to take their 15% on top of that. But let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that may have been missed. Just some more analysis on the game and the fallout from Argentina. Now, there's been discussion from the players, or leaks, it seems, from the players, that they are disappointed with the tactics. Tuchel has said he was very disappointed how he executed things, and that about sums up where I was in my post-match analysis after the game, which was that I think we're not going to know exactly where the problems lie, but that it probably falls with everyone. I think England dropped into negativity and the tactics became negative. Here's just some comments, I think, that are worth revisiting from Tuchel. He said, I haven't seen the data yet, but I think right after the goal momentum swings completely in ball possession chances and it drops dramatically. That's after England's goal. We got too passive within our structure. I tried to help, not to become more passive with a back five, but to be more active, to be quicker out to the wingers, not to open up gaps between the back four. And that is exactly where England's problems lied. Whether that's completely honest and how he really tried to alter things, I think it's probably fair, but sometimes I think things can get away from you. I think Tuchel's probably also seeing that this is a little bit harder than he expected. He's got a great group of players. He's inherited a brilliant group. But club football is very different to international football. And I think he's realising that players are not doing exactly what he needs to do all of the time, where you might expect that in club football with much, much longer with the players. He continued, we encouraged everyone to step out, to be more active within our structure, but we struggled. So he's saying he encouraged people to move out, and we see in the moments before Argentina equalised and the equalised where we just don't do that. We couldn't find any duels anymore, which was why we dropped deeper and deeper, which was never the plan, but it happened. We needed to get back on the ball, otherwise you cannot break the pressure and you cannot get the momentum back. And yeah, it's true. I mean, to cap off, he says, it's maybe not in our DNA, like it is in the Spanish DNA, or the Argentinian or the Brazilian DNA, to take the ball, control the game, and the ball, which is also a big problem. And I touched on this in terms of England's mentality and DNA. Look, I don't think things that happened 30 years ago, I said this, have a bearing on what happens now, but I think if you are culturally, and it is embedded in you, to do that and sit off, maybe you can't help but do it. I'm not sure. As I said, the players, there's been leaks that they're disappointed by the tactics. Clearly there's been comments that the players are disappointed overall, as you would expect them to be. There's a moment, though, that really strikes me when you look at it back. It's after Nico Gonzalez comes on 64 minutes. Argentina start to really, really put us under pressure. And shortly after this, we try and play out from the back, and it goes to Spence, and he has to turn back inside, and we can't go anywhere. And Argentina press us, they're aggressive, and they get the ball back. And it's milling around near our box, and Kane has to come all the way back and try and retrieve the ball, which he does. And then he has nowhere to go, and he ends up passing it out just off the touchline because he's got nothing upfield and he's got no immediate pass. And these feel like tiny moments. They led to nothing and they don't seem significant. But if you can imagine you're one of those players in those moments, right back to back, as Argentina are putting us under pressure where you realise you can't keep the ball, you do automatically just drop off. And I think that's what happened. And the Konsa sub is the turning point at the hydration break. 72 minutes. When we come out of that, I thought at the time, that's a negative tactic. We've gone to a back five. I mentioned in my post-match that can be wing-backs. James and Spence can push on. But we didn't seem like we wanted to. So I think this is a combination of lots of things. I also think I didn't give enough credit to Lionel Messi, the greatest player of all time, you would have to say. And he starts to spot spaces when England make changes and when England drop off. And he starts as a central striker next to Alvarez, but as we know, he likes to move off to the right, and that's really the positions he started to take. When he saw spaces and he saw gaps, he was moving out to those positions and dragging us. And we got dragged apart for that equalising goal, and then, of course, the winner too. So you got to say that someone like that, even without their defensive work or lack thereof and the running, problem solvers on the pitch are what you need. And the greats, that's what they do. And yeah, England players, none of them really did that. It's not to say that any of them aren't great or can't be great, but Lionel Messi is certainly a great. So what is next for England and Tuchel? Well, after the France game, there's 6 games between September and November, all Nations League games. And yeah, I think we'd be crazy to be looking at a new manager. There's absolutely no way that the FA are looking at a new manager here. I just know that there's been whispers, there's been rumblings of it within the press. I don't think anybody really expects it, and I don't think anybody expects that he would walk. Why should he? It's amazing what perception does, because have England done well at this tournament? Well, the Mexico game was talked up as one of the greatest England games and performances of all time. But in terms of par and where we think England should be, the semi-finals is about that. It's amazing that 8 years ago that made the country feel really great again, and that for Southgate that was a huge achievement. Even though, Pickford and Stones and Henderson, Rashford and Kane were all in that squad. It's not many. There was a huge changeover of players from 2016. And given what had happened there, people did not expect England to go to the semi-finals in 2018. Perception is completely different. Expectation is completely different. So it does make sense. But it's amazing that this is not good enough, even though this is the 4th time England have ever made a World Cup semi-final. As I said, we've got a brilliant side now, so I sort of understand that. As mentioned, 6 Nations League games. It doesn't matter whether you take the Nations League seriously or not. England have serious opposition to face in those, starting with Spain at home in September. So if you want to see us against Spain, you may in that. It'll be a competitive game. And look, if those don't go right, then maybe, we can look at something else. But those are going to be proper games. So, yeah, you would hope England come through those and do well. If England were to replace their manager, the favourites with the bookmakers is Guardiola, of course. He's a free agent. Then we've got Eddie Howe, followed by Lee Carsley. Be nice, wouldn't it? Mauricio Pochettino, Graham Potter, both of these at the World Cup, of course, with USA and Sweden respectively. Frank Lampard, Carlo Ancelotti, another World Cup manager. Kieran McKenna, Steven Gerrard, Sir Gareth Southgate, Unai Emery, Diego Simeone, Liam Rossini, Julian Nagelsmann, Patrick Vieira, Brendan Rodgers, Jose Mourinho, Luis Enrique. The list goes on here. I'm not sure how that's sounding to you. I think I'd probably stick with. There we go. In terms of this Saturday against France, England have surely got to make changes. The the real question, I suppose, is does Kobbie Mainoo play at this tournament? Not a minute. Clearly not trusted. And in the game against Argentina, there was certainly an opportunity for him to come into midfield, have a ball carrier, have someone help us out in there, but it wasn't to be. So will he start? I'm not sure he will, but remains to be seen. Rashford featured for only a few minutes at the end against Argentina. Didn't feature at all against Mexico and Norway. Got to wonder what's gone on there. Again, a lack of trust, perhaps. Quansah will be available for this game after his suspension. I think he might come back in after missing some action, and given that we are a bit sort of stretched and people look a bit knackered in those positions, I would think Kane and Bellingham start. Both going for the golden boot still. And I think probably both would like to start. We'll see. Perhaps not. Be a good opportunity to give Ollie Watkins or Mainoo, as mentioned, some opportunities. But yeah, remains to be seen. I think England will be fairly strong. But does anyone care? I would like England to win. It would be. We've never finished third. We've finished fourth at the 2018 World Cup. I prefer to beat France than not beat France. In terms of France themselves, there'll be no Saliba after his back injury in the semi-final. Konate may come in for Upamecano, and Lacroix will play instead of Saliba there, of course. Might be the first time we see N'Golo Kanté this tournament, his France swan song perhaps. Again, I'd expect Kylian Mbappe to start. He'll be going for the golden boot. So France, again, some changes, a mixture, but fairly strong. And to be honest, I'm not saying France are going to be raring to go in this one and really keen, but I think England may be the more deflated. Who knows? I think France will win. I'll say 2-0. I think France would have been better than us in the final regardless, and whether Spain are better than them than not, which I thought they would be and were, but yeah, I'll go for France win. That leaves the final match of the tournament, Spain against Argentina in the 2026 World Cup. And you'd have to say, because France are not in it, it's not the two most eye-catching teams. Spain, I think, have been the best team and have been very efficient and control games brilliantly. And Argentina, you would have to say, great team performance as well, great togetherness, never say die attitude, have been behind several times and keep coming back and doing whatever it takes. Spain are unbeaten in 37 international matches. That equals the all-time record set by Italy between 2018 and 2021. I talked about this on an early pod where Morocco were in the midst of their own record and breaking that. And I mentioned Spain were creeping up behind. Well, towards the end of this tournament, they've equalled it and can now go outright ahead were they to win. Their last defeat was March 2024 in a friendly against Colombia. And their last competitive defeat was a year earlier in March 2023 against Scotland, of course. That was a Euro 2024 qualifier. The last World Cup match between Argentina and Spain, I mentioned this last time, the 1966 World Cup group stage. Yeah, more recently, they played in a 2018 friendly. That was the last time they met. Spain won 6-1. They should have played in March's Finalissima, which is the European champions against the South American champions, something that was brought in the 80s and 90s, and they've sort of tried to revive it. It was an Argentina-Italy game back in 2022. This game didn't go ahead in March just gone because of security issues in Qatar due to the Iran war, and they couldn't agree where to move. So it didn't happen. It's a shame it didn't, only because it would have been good to see how that played out and give us some ideas for this one. But nonetheless, we will get to see it on Sunday. And two managers that have really got some pedigree in international football over the last few years. They've won things and they're now looking to win the big one. In Scaloni's case, win it again. So Scaloni himself came in 2018 following World Cup disappointment in Russia. Diego Maradona described Scaloni as unqualified, an inexperienced person in charge who wouldn't even be able to direct traffic. R.I.P. Diego there. They finished third at the 2019 Copa America. Led to a lot of criticism. People wanted a lot more from Argentina from that. And the AFA did extend his contract. And they won the 2021 Copa America. It was Argentina's first trophy in 28 years. They hadn't won anything since the 93 Copa America. So Scaloni really brought back that winning mentality and getting them over the line. The way that, we've talked about England somehow getting over the line. And then, of course, he followed up with the 2022 World Cup and the 2024 Copa America as well. So entering things, winning things, Argentina just, they know how to get this done. And as for De La Fuente, he came in after the 2022 World Cup to replace Luis Enrique. He'd won the under-19s and the under-21s, Euros. Then they won the 2023 Nations League and the 2024 Euros. And now they look to go on more. So, yeah, a great contest there. And I don't know if you've seen sort of pictures in the build-up to this. There's a picture of Lionel Messi holding Harvey Price. It's a bit weird. I don't know why all those years. Oh, it's Lamine Yamal. Sorry, it's Lamine Yamal he's holding there. And, talking about managers going head-to-head with their records, I think a lot of people would like to see this as a bit of a passing of the torch between Messi and Yamal. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. There will be a halftime show. And FIFA have said this will last between 20 and 25 minutes. At the Club World Cup last summer, it lasted 24 minutes, I can tell you. This is, I keep using this word, this is unprecedented at this World Cup. Well, it's just unprecedented at any point. Players are, there's got to be a sports science element to this, is there not? Players are not used to this. I don't mean to, get all soft here and get all woke here, but players have 15 minutes and it's ingrained on them how to manage that time and how to use that time. If they're having nearly half an hour, half times have already gone over the 15 minutes quite a few times at this tournament. We already have the hydration breaks. If you look at the IFAB rules for football, it says players are entitled to a half-time break not exceeding 15 minutes. FIFA and the US have just gone, nah, don't need to bother about the rules. No, not the rules that have been agreed by the governing body and every state and everyone involved. No, don't worry about that. It's just what we want. Curated by Chris Martin of Coldplay, of course. Let's hope they have a kiss cam. They can't miss that opportunity, can they? They've got to play on that. If you're going to have some fun with this, surely we've got to have the kiss cam. Madonna, Shakira and Burna Boy, BTS, Justin Bieber, Robbie Williams, Nicole Scherzinger are all expected to perform, along with Tom Cruise. I'm not sure what Tom Cruise is doing for this. Is he reprising his role from Rock of Ages, where he has a sing-song himself? Or is he just going to skydive in? I'm not sure. I want it, dead or alive. And then the rope snaps. You can't say that. Don't say that. That's terrible. What's he doing there, though? No, seriously. There's going to be rings for the winners, just like the Super Bowl. Oh, they are trying to Super Bowl the hell out of this World Cup. You'll have a special Super Bowl-style ring for the winners. There's 30 rings for the winners. And there'll be a further 1,996 on sale to fans. Don't know how much they'll cost. I'm sure they'll be very well valued. 30 rings to the winners, though, is interesting. You get 26 players in your squad. And Spain have listed, everywhere that I can see, 6 coaches on their team, including, the manager. That doesn't include physios and sports scientists and anyone else that works hard on that team. But you only get 30 rings. Seems a bit tight if you're going to do it at all. Donald Trump has confirmed he'll be in attendance. That's obviously excellent news. Be fun to see if he's getting in the way like he did at the 2025 Club World Cup when Chelsea lifted the trophy. You had like Cole Palmer just sort of looking at him, wondering what he's doing there. I hope we don't get that. As funny as it kind of is, I don't want those lasting images of him there. We'll see. What can we expect from this game then? Well, I think very similar to each semi-final, to be perfectly honest. I think Argentina will try and stifle the game. They will try and slow things down. And they'll try and get away with what they can. I'm not being bitter here. I may be a bit bitter, but I'm genuinely not. But that is what Argentina do. And if you can get away with it and you're good at it, good for you. All for it. It's the officials that need to manage the game. Argentina have committed 12.6 fouls per game with 9 yellow cards. Spain 11.4 per game with 6 yellow cards. England 10.4 fouls, 8 yellows. France 10.0 fouls per game. It feels like Argentina commit more per game than that. But I suppose you've got to feel where they do it, how they do it, and the timing of it feels more impactful at times. It's only a couple more a game than England. It's one more a game than Spain. You're not going to notice that really if you are clocking up each one. As I said, I think timing's important. They committed 15 fouls against England's 11, and they committed fewer fouls than Switzerland in the quarter-final. So, as I said, I think it's how they go about it and what they do. An interesting one in terms of style, talking about how good Spain have been on previous episodes and how good they are at controlling the game out of possession. In terms of winning the ball back in the final third, per match, Spain do this 5.7 times per game. Okay, that's third overall at the World Cup. Only Germany and Uruguay are above them. Now, bear in mind, Germany went out in the last 32 to Paraguay, and Uruguay went out in the group stage. Spain have continued this throughout the knockout stages, including against France and Belgium, which is clearly much tougher games than the others posed, although Uruguay, of course, did face Spain. But to be third on that list at 5.7, really impressive. Next on that list from the top four would be France at 4.4 possession, won back in the final third. England down at 3.4. Argentina 3.1 possession won in the final third per game. So Spain are doing it almost twice as often a game as Argentina. And that was something that England didn't really sort of take advantage of, that Argentina don't go and press heavy. They have Messi playing centre forward. He's not going to go and do those defensive jobs. And I'll be interested to see how Argentina cope with that from Spain. Both teams like to hold the majority of possession. I expected England and Argentina to have fairly even possession in their games, but that kind of wasn't to be. Argentina absolutely dominating that second half, as we've seen. Spain have had 64% of the ball on average in their games. Argentina 61%. I expect that to drop a lot for Argentina, but they do keep the ball very well. They are not just the team that clogs up games and goes round trying to stifle. They wait for their moments, and they have a lot of heart and a lot of energy and grow into games late on when they need to. Spain have conceded just once, a 2.14 XG against. So, on the fair score, perhaps saying that they should have conceded twice all tournaments. It's remarkable, really. Argentina, of course, are the top goal scorers at the tournament and from, this final four per game, however you want to dice it. 19 goals scored to Spain's 13. It's at a rate of 14.4 XG for Argentina, falling a little bit short. And given they missed 2 penalties, and penalties are included in that XG, that would be 12.8 non-penalty expected goals with 19 non-penalty goals scored. So quite a difference really there. Are they getting a bit lucky? Well, we've talked about the luck they have with other things. So, yeah. Spain, 13.4 XG to 13 goals. So right about where they should be. Again, 23 big chances for Argentina, 20 for Spain. So they've still created really, really good quality chances, Spain, despite scoring many fewer goals. As I mentioned, Spain have conceded 1 goal. Argentina have conceded 7 goals, won a game. Only conceded 6 big chances, though. Spain with 5. And 3.97 XG against. So 4 goals against on the expected for Argentina. So maybe, being a bit unlucky in that sense. I talked about how this might be a bit of a boring game, Argentina trying to stifle. Spain like to control games. Argentina have been involved in 26 goals across their games. Why wouldn't it be exciting? 3-2 with extra time against Cape Verde, 3-2 against Egypt, a 3-1 against Switzerland, 2-1 coming from behind against England. As I said, why wouldn't we expect some sort of drama there? We probably should, but I just think it's the style of both teams gives us that sort of air and that feeling that it won't be, but that remains to be seen. I think both teams will remain unchanged in terms of their lineup. So I suppose the big question for Spain is Fabian Ruiz or Pedri. Fabian Ruiz was preferred in the quarterfinal. That was the big toss-up going into the semi-final. He kept his place, and I thought he was excellent next to Rodri. Pedri came on in the second half. He'd started the games prior, and I think Pedri will be sat out for this one. I think they'll go with the same 11, Alex Baena out on the left, Dani Olmo as the 10, and Lamine Yamal out on wide right. Although Yamal did sit out Spain training yesterday. So I would think that's precautionary. I would expect him to start. Talked about how his levels have not quite been there, but he's still having a good impact. This, once again, would be the time to shine, particularly if, as I said, this is a passing of the torch moment. So Simon, Porro, Kubasi, Laporte, Cucurella, Rodri, Ruiz, Olmo, Yamal, Baena and Ayazabal I expect to be Spain starting 11. And I think Argentina probably unchanged as well. They brought in Simeone for Rodrigo de Paul in the England game, and he was there for a very specific reason, to stifle and to try and ruffle England up. 5 fouls committed, no yellow cards for him. And it might be a similar thing. Rodrigo de Paul came on and had a little bit of an impact off the bench. So that would leave Emi Martinez, Molina, Romero, Lisandro Martinez, I can never say it, Tagliafico, Paredes, Simeone, McAllister, Fernandez, Messi and Julian Alvarez for Argentina. So that's how I expect them to line up. And I can only go for Spain, not out of bias, but because I think they're better. But I wouldn't be surprised by a result either way here, because Argentina have just found a way to get it done. And I was wrong about England squeezing through. They nearly did squeeze through, but this is what Argentina do. So I think we see another Spain goal conceded. If Argentina get that first, I think we're in for a very interesting game. But I think Spain will squeeze them out. And I'll say 2-1 to Spain. But we shall see. Come on, Spain! Okay, to finish off, as promised, I'm going to go through my top 5 kits. I'm going to do home kits and I'm going to do away kits. Now, sure, I could have done this before the tournament, but I think it's better to see the kits in action. That's when you really get a feel of what is good and what's not good, what looks good, paired with everything, the shorts and the socks, and then, the numbering and the badges and all the rest of it. So I do think that's important, and I'll come on to one specific reason why I think that's important shortly. So there's been several manufacturers at the tournament, only 4 have manufactured 2 or more nations. Kelm have only manufactured, I should say, 2 for Jordan and Bosnia. Adidas leaked out with 14, Nike with 12, and Puma with 11. And in the others, we've got Kappa, Capelli, Umbro, Marathon Sports, Saita, which is Haiti's, Majid, which is Iran's, Jacko, Reebok, and 7 Sabre, which is Uzbekistan's manufacturer. So, quite a list, not too bad. You'd expect the ones that dominate to dominate. And to be honest, the ones that you'd expect to dominate in terms of manufacture dominate this list. I don't know. Nike and Adidas do just seem to turn out the best ones. What can I say? They just look good. So let's start with our top 5 home kits of this World Cup. In at number 5, first of all, a little shout out to Dr. Congo. I really like their Umbro effort. It's got a nice sort of subtle design on the front. It looks more garish when you see it just on the hanger, so to speak. On the pitch and on the players, I think it looked lovely, and I enjoyed seeing this tournament, but I don't have room for them in my top 5. I'm sorry. At number 5, I'm going for Côte d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast. That lovely orange Puma number. And for the number of kits that Puma have looked after at this tournament, I talked about how many were ripping at the start of the tournament. They seem to either sort that out or get lucky. 11 kits and not enough on my lists. I don't think they do that well, Puma, unfortunately. But I really like this orange number from them. Yeah, just the sort of that pattern that goes in. It's lovely, really nice. So they're in 5th. 4th place, one that I don't think looks as good on the hanger as it does in person. In person, it looks great, and that's the Norway home. And the Norway away, the blackout, is a good example of one that doesn't look quite so good on the pitch, because it's a blackout and it looks really smart, but then you have to add the number, you have to add the match details and the patches, and all of a sudden it's not blackout anymore. It's not so good. But at Norway home, that's 4th on my list. Lovely. Number 3, it's the USA home. A little homage to the 1994 home effort, and yeah, really, really nice. It's got the wave of the red and white stripes, and yeah, really good from the host nation. Maybe the best thing the home nation did, certainly from an administrative point of view, I would say. In at number 2, and I've got it here, it's the Mexico home shirts. Yep, a lovely effort by Adidas here. I love the design on the front, a bit of a tribute to their 1998 effort, and yeah, really pleased with that one, so much so that I decided to get it. And yeah, you got to have the host shirt, right? And these are the proper hosts, the Azteca and all that. Yeah, come on. Okay, and number 1, who else could it be? It's their last effort with Adidas, because they are mind-bogglingly moving to Nike after this. It's Germany with the flag running down into the middle. Yeah. Another homage, another one paying tribute. That is what is calling in these days. A homage to 1990 from Germany. And yeah, it might not have been so good on the pitch, but they do always get the kits spot on. And this one is no exception. All right, let's look at our top 5 away kits finally. Some shout outs. I really like the Spain away kit. Yes, it's going to disappoint you. It's not on this list. Brazil away, lovely. Canada away, really lovely. That one falls down because of a lot of the print on it. Makes it look not quite so good as plain on the hanger. And the one that misses out, that's going to disappoint you, on a technicality, it is the Curacao away shirt. Just hold your horses. The reason is because it didn't feature at the World Cup. I'm being harsh. I am being harsh. Unfortunately, that is why, and I can't include it. So, here is my top 5 away shirts. Starting with number 5, my first garish effort is the Sweden away. Not too garish, not as garish as my number 4, but I do like the bright blue with the yellow. The pattern's really good, and yeah, I think blue and yellow goes really, really nicely together. So that one stands out for me, and I love it. Number 4, here is a garish effort, and it's Colombia's away with the two-tone green Adidas. Yeah, it is really, really good. This really nice, goes well with the print. Look good on the players. Delighted with that one. Number 3, another garish effort, and paying homage to the early 90s themselves. It's Scotland. That sort of pink salmon number looks brilliant. I've said this about Scotland kits in recent times, that they've done really, really well with their efforts, particularly the aways. They had a good one at the last Euros, but this one is, yeah, it's lovely. Again, best thing they've done at the tournament. In at number 2 for our best away kit, it has to be the France mint effort, if that is indeed the official colour. They wore it a few times. It was very popular, and for good reason. I wasn't a huge fan of the France home with that collar and the kind of jagged sort of blue effort. Yeah, it was okay. Prefer the away, and that deserves full credit. And at number 1, best away kit at the 2026 World Cup, may even be the best kit of the whole tournament. It's the Belgium away. They seem to continue wearing it the better they did at this tournament, the more they were scraping through, and they eventually were eliminated in it. But they looked fantastic in doing so. Yeah, a really sort of classy design with lovely colourway and some nice subtle features in it. And I really enjoyed that. So, yep, some good fashion numbers at the World Cup. That is all for today. Enjoy the World Cup final if you possibly can. I will do some things afterwards, reviewing the final and doing some awards, including team of the tournament, goal of the tournament, and other such things. But until that, enjoy your weekend.